Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for a new episode of Stocks for Breakfast. Very excited. We actually have a lot to talk about tonight. The stock market actually had a really nice rally last week. We actually broke 5 weeks of selling, traded into a bullish U-turn the week before. Last week traded into well bid and closed near the highs after two successive bullish gaps. Seeing a little bit of profit taking this week, actually to start the week over the weekend. So we got a little bit overbought in Bitcoin, still bullish. Got a little bit overbought in the market with two really nasty bullish gaps, which kind of caught the shorts by surprise. And once those stock buying started to kick in, pretty good trading days. I think Thursday was probably the best trading day of the week. Friday was a little bit choppy due to the options expiration, but now we're back at it, and we got a lot to talk about. In today's video, we're going to talk about the richest man in the world, how much richer he got this week. He's actually worth more right now than Bill Gates and Warren Buffett combined. That's some serious scratch. So we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about his company. We're going to dive into sector rotation. So we're actually going to do a deep dive into this today and go the top sectors and then breaking down which stocks I'm going to be looking at this week, which is pretty exciting. But first, just stick around for just 1 second. I just need to get this out of the way, and we'll kick it right off. Okay, so first, I just want to say again, thank you so much. Everything we talk about here is for educational purposes. It's up to you to make that final decision. It's my mission to help you make better decisions. So I'm very excited. If you don't mind, though, I just would like to I just want to congratulate somebody in our who's in our boot camp, and our boot camp is really family to us. So you can see here that if you just give me 1 second, Dilip, one of the members of our community, completed a marathon this weekend. He was shooting for a 4-hour marathon. He missed it by 2 minutes. But look, let's face it, this is what makes the people in our community just so amazing. I mean, I can't even get off my couch to start exercising, and Dilip is running a marathon. So I think what I want to say here to everybody is, and I've talked about this in the past, it doesn't matter if it's trading or other things that are in your life. It really comes down to action. You have to take action. When I've been in some high-level masterminds in the past, whether it was stock trading or entrepreneurship or business development or anything along those lines, action is the number one key to success. It's not the first beautiful 5-minute bull flag. It's not the perfect exit. It's not the perfect breakout. It's action. Every single thing that leads to success is action, and you just keep taking small steps. We've gotten a lot of emails from some people over the weekend about struggling over the last couple of months, and it really comes down to paying attention to what's not working and doing less of it. I know that sounds silly, but when you're buying stocks, you get immediate feedback, and that feedback is really what you should be using to mold your trading plan, to mold your edge, and then get to the point where every single thing you do is purposeful. But, I can't stress this enough, everything starts with taking action. You cannot be afraid. We actually have a question that is in our private coaching call, which is every Monday night, which obviously is tonight. And we talked about this subject a little bit in the past, but I want to bring it up now heading into the week because the market's opening just a little bit lower this week, which is taking on a trade and losing money, and then the next trade lining up perfectly, and you pass on that trade because the last one lost money, and you're a little bit gun shy, you're a little bit afraid to buy a stock again because the last one did not make money. I just can't express strongly enough that that's a part of trading. So if we get to the point, and I kind of love doing this stuff heading into the week because you want to set the right mindset heading into the week. You want to set the right mindset before you start to pick your stocks, buy your stocks, and manage those positions. It really comes down to, once you have an edge, the very definition of edge means over time, you'll win more than you won't. And that literally means that there's going to be some losing trades. So if you have an edge and it's played itself over time and it works, you have to take every trade. The only thing that I will add to that a little bit, which, hey, Minvi, I want to say hello. Good morning, pal. Thank you so much for becoming a member of our mastery program. I want you to know how much it means to me. Once you have your edge and it works over time, you have to trust it, even especially when you're having a couple of losing trades. But the point that I want to get across here is there's definitely some market conditions that are better than others. So even if you're taking that same trade, but the conditions aren't perfect, it's imperative that you understand when to increase or decrease your position sizing. because you can still take those same ideas. The market itself might not be lining up perfectly, but maybe those stocks are. So you start to work your way down the pyramid of A+ trade and when do you want to get full share size. So sometimes it's on your initial entry. Sometimes it's you want to get first piece on and then look for that to move in your favor and you get feedback and put that trade on. So it's critically important that you know those three pillars that we talk all the time about: stacking the order flow, tape reading, and risk reversal. Stacking the order flow is the first thing we talk about because all of the other stuff, entries, exits, trade management, mindset, none of that stuff matters if you're not in a good idea in the first place. You have to be buying the strongest stocks, which again, we're going to start out with this. We're actually going to spend most of today on this sector rotation sheet. You have to start out with stocks that already have bullish order flow, and then you piggyback the smart money, which is by far the easiest way of trading. So I just wanted to bring that in there first. Congratulations to Dilip. Very proud of you. Not only grateful that you're a part of our community, but very proud of you that you finished your marathon this weekend. 50-degree weather. I've never ran a marathon, but I'm pretty sure that that's perfect weather for running a marathon. All right. So let's see. Catherine Goodson, good morning. How are you? Alvaro, good morning, Alvaro. John A., how's it going, pal? Harry, good morning. Bill W. And Bill Thomas. All right, we got the Bills in the house today. Kevin O'Toole, how's it going, pal? Nice to see you here today. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start to work our way over into some of the stories from this morning. We'll get into how that's going to affect what we're going to be looking to trade today. So as we just talked about, this is just a mind-blowing story of Elon Musk now worth more than both Buffett and Gates because of Tesla and SpaceX valuations. But you know what? He's doing it. He's taking action. He's got such a dominant market share in what he does. Hats off to him. You know, whether you love Tesla, hate Tesla, it doesn't make a difference. Tesla keeps charging higher. And we've been talking about it. You know, this is actually a big trading lesson as well. If you remember about a week and a half ago, we were watching Tesla in this trading range over here. And you can see how hard we've been working the charts. And we strongly encourage everybody to do this, where you are constantly watching how it's trading, moving. If it goes parabolic, you move it up and you draw a new line. You have to know your levels, right? People were saying that it was in a 2-week trading range, and that meant that it was going to roll over and start heading to the downside. That's not the right way to think about stocks. You have to be thinking about them. It is what it is until it's not. I know that sounds like Yoda or something, but that's not the point. The point is you have to assume that the order flow is still there until you start to see signs that it's not there anymore. So even during that box that it was trading in, even it was probably a $20 box between 780 and 800. There was no signs of selling. So not going up is different than in the process of going down. And I'm saying that because we'd spend a lot of time, especially in the boot camp, talking about losses don't matter as long as you understand how to make more on your winners. Now, granted, the market has been a little bit tough over the last couple of months with having absolute conviction with holding some of the winners. There's still a ton of winners out there. But you need to get into your head. You can't be afraid. It's a very common question that we get. I put the trade on. It's not moving against me, but it's not moving in my favor either. You have to have the guts to hang on to that position as long as it's still valid. The only reason you would get out of a trade that is kind of moving in your favor but hasn't moved in the way you expected is if you see there's a better opportunity and you just want to reallocate that capital. So have patience on your winners. And this is actually a really, really good example. So congratulations to Elon Musk. That's just freaking amazing. Apple stock should have a little bit of volatility this week. They have the Unleashed online event this week. I don't necessarily know it's going to be anything new. If you look at it, they're talking about new MacBook Air, AirPod 3, that kind of stuff. Not really anything shocking, but we'll see. Apple's, I think Apple's a mature company at this point. I'm not really, unless they come out with an Apple car. I don't know if there's anything really, but the biggest thing here now is that it's actually broken. So I want broken the downtrend. I want to be clear about this. One of the biggest things that I am a massive proponent of is start your game planning out. When you do your stock scans and you start to do your game planning and you start to determine which stock picks you want to have, start out this way. Start out with no moving averages, no indicators. Get into the raw price action so that you see the individual candlesticks. You see the actual highs and lows. You start to see what's going on from day to day and week to week. Are they energy candlesticks? Are they indecision type candlesticks? What's going on? Apple now has broken this 2-month downtrend, maybe 6 to 8 week downtrend. And now we're looking for it to trade above 147, 148 in that area. So this is really where you started to build your if-then scenario. So you can see it's stuck in this box right now, which is basically an $8 box. If it gets above this level here, which is essentially Friday's high, let's just say it right there, right around 145, that confirms a break of this downtrend. So remember, there's only one of two things that can happen when you buy a stock and start to work this. In this case, it happens to be to the downside, but it works on both sides. This downtrend has to be assumed to be continued unless you break the trend and then break the opposite side after the trend is broken. So only one of two things. This is not confirmed yet. This is still in that box. So if it breaks up here, it breaks this downtrend. If it finds resistance here and breaks down here, that revalidates it. Okay, so that's the levels that we're watching. And this is very important. We talk about scripting a lot, and actually Dilip talked about that we do that every day. You need to script. So right now my script is in my tracking journal over 145, Apple becomes interesting to me. Another stock that I want to point out, maybe everybody didn't catch this one over the weekend, is this one. Now, the first thing you're going to say is, my gosh, it's still very clearly bearish order flow, right? And I agree with that. However, remember what we talk about, and hopefully you're starting to do as a member of our community here. By the way, if you haven't done so, click subscribe and smash that like button. I really appreciate it, especially if I'm providing value. This is one of those trades that now is gone into the tracking journal, where it's not a trade yet, it's an idea. Bearish order flow, bearish order flow, bearish order flow. And then all of a sudden you get a day like Friday and you're like, wow, that's interesting. Options expiration, the stock exploded. But that price action is not what got me excited. What got me excited was this, and this is what makes me start to put stuff into the tracking journal. Look at that volume on Friday, okay? So we got a big push down here that went into inside candle, and we're actually talking, let me zoom this out a little bit. I want you to see this. This is actually the same price pattern that we've seen in a couple of stocks recently, where we punched down, let me actually move that out, punched down for 2 days on heavy volume, and then instead of following through to the downside, we actually went inside candlestick and then well bid, which means higher highs and higher lows, and led to that. So does that mean that the stock is a long right now? No, that means that this stock is now in our tracking journal for us to start paying attention to it. That's where you start to see stuff before they hit the headline. When you start to do your scans, your stock picks this way, some ideas are right now, for example, 145 in Apple, if it gets above that level, versus STNE right now, it's gone into our tracking journal because order flow and the tape changed. So again, we're not bottom fishing here. We're saying if this turns around in a meaningful way, and obviously we have the patterns that tell us that, then we might start adding it to our trading ideas. Something else I want to point out, which is a very big deal, and I think probably one of the most exciting things that we've had discussions here about, which is now everybody who's a regular subscriber should be able to tell right now, how long has the smart money been buying this stock? How long? Because this is going to affect you directly. When you start to script out what you plan to do with your stock picks, if we look to the left here and say, well, maybe they started now, maybe just the last few days, they started to build a position and they had to step up in a big way on Friday. How should that affect your position sizing? If the smart money just started their first initial positions into this, you should be thinking along the same way. It's our job. This is what we show in the boot camp. It's our job to piggyback on what's going on. Is it the first push? Is it the first push and the pause? All of those things go into position sizing and setting targets, setting how we plan to build that position. So pretty cool to see that on the first idea and have something in our mind right away. So we want to continue to get into the news of the day, which we're going to start out here with stock futures fall. This is really the big thing that they're giving the reason, quote unquote, on why the market is down this morning. So if we take a quick look at the futures markets, we're down around 13. So really, honestly, not a shock. I mean, look, 3 days that we had last week were pretty solid. If we go over to the SPY and actually work our way into the SPY, you can see a little bit cleaner. Bullish U-turn, bullish gap into just about resistance. Not a shock. Quite honestly, not a shock. So what we're looking for now is maybe in the bigger picture of the market, maybe we're going to see maybe a pause on Monday or Tuesday in the big picture. However, as we talk about every single day here, It's this that really matters. It's on this side. This is what really matters. This is where the smart money is all the time. So what we're going to do now as a community is we're going to start to do a little bit deeper dive in this list, starting out. Let me zoom that in a little bit more so you can see it. So we're going to start out with basic materials and work our way down into some ideas that are tradable now, and then some stock picks that would go into the tracking journal that aren't tradable yet. We're actually going to start out with basic materials. So we're going to hop on over into the top of that list. And I'm going to zoom that out so you can see the chart just a little bit better. And we're going to start out on the side of LAC. LAC was one of the stronger ones. So again, I just want to give everybody full clarity. We're starting here. If you're new to the channel, we go over basic materials and everything else in sector rotation. This is where the smart money is hiding in plain sight. So we work our way down here. So you can see what kind of week we had last week. You can see that we're starting to work our way a little bit greener into the week. You can see energy, which I think is kind of getting forgotten in some of these other tech plays that are getting strong, still in play, paused for about 10 days. And Friday was kind of pinned. If you didn't happen to understand on Friday why the market was a little bit paused on Friday, I guess you could say bullish gap and a lot of stuff went sideways. Friday was options expiration, and that could be a day where a lot of stock gets stuck at that price and doesn't move. So we're looking for some follow through here in quite a few of those stocks today. But we're going to start out with basic materials. I want to make sure that we give some ideas today. So LAC is the first one. LAC, actually, you can see here, finally punched through the 23 level that we were watching. Two really big moves to the upside. And now, again, remember we keep talking about a push and a pause. How long is the stock found buying pressure? What should that do to affect your position sizing? Now LAC is paused for 2 days. You can see it's opening flat. So that's going to be one of the stocks on my list today. Alcoa. Alcoa actually had earnings, obviously big move here. If you remember prior to the earnings, we were saying we're not going to do anything until the earnings come out because you can see pretty cleanly here the stock was stuck in a box prior to earnings. So there really wasn't anything to do. Bullish gap on Friday, very tradable coming out of the gate. Whether you were day trading it or swing trading it, there was something to do in Alcoa pretty much the entire day on Friday. And now you can see it's actually opening up a little bit higher again today. Now, here's the thing with Alcoa. You have to really be positioning yourself that the stock did nothing pretty much for an entire month. Very similar to the financial stocks that we're looking to be buyers of today, where they really weren't that tradable at all heading into earnings. Matter of fact, after earnings, a bunch of them opened lower. Then the next 2 days, they reversed and had a really good Thursday and Friday. So now we're looking for follow through there as well. However, very similar to LAC, very similar to Alcoa right now. These are the beginning stages of bullish moves to the upside. So we have to be smart about our position sizing, looking to build and get feedback as opposed to going right in, because the order flow, while recent, is not longer term. So that's a big part of what we're looking at. Okay. So Alcoa is on the list in the basic material sectors. FCX is now above the breakout level. So this is the level we're looking for. The next level we're looking for is up around 45. So roughly $7 or $8 on FCX right now. And those are really the top ones that I'm looking for as far as trading right now. NUE in the basic materials. If you happen to not have traded this, again, you can see what chart does that look like? It looks almost identical to Apple right now. So we're looking to see if NUE changes to the upside and confirms the break of this bearish order flow. And again, you can see the trend here. We drew a box where the trend made a new low, and then we drew another line where it broke and peaked. So right now it's in a box. And what's kind of cool is this is where your money goes to die if you trade while it's stuck in this box. If you want to keep your money in your pocket until it either revalidates, confirms, I guess is a better way to word it, validates it going back to the downside, which would confirm that selling. But this is the top sector. This is the top group that it's in right now. So the odds are we're going to see follow through. So we'll see. So that's the script. Remember, every single day we talk about, you need to take, whether you do it digitally or however you end up doing it, you need to map out what you expect to have happen today. You need to map out what you expect to have happen this week. And again, I'm saying this every single day after the market opens. You're just sitting back, having your coffee, looking for entries and managing trades, because the hard part is finding an edge, scanning for stocks that match that edge. Then you just script out the ideas and you just sit back, and that's the easier part of trading. The trading part is the easier part. Finding ideas that are awesome are where a lot of traders struggle. And I know that for a fact because a lot of traders try and bottom fish all the time, and they are just looking for the miracle play, the Hail Mary, and that's not necessary. That is by far the hardest way of trading it. And this is another way where you're trading where it's stuck in that box and there's nothing to do. But this has been in our tracking journal. The sector is moving its way up to the top, and now we have a alert set for this stock, NUE. And I will tell you, I've traded NUE for a while. It's actually it's a pretty good stock for active traders. All right. So we're going to work our way over into sector rotation again. We're going to hop over into technology stocks, which there's a ton of those in play right now. So if you haven't watched it over the last week and a half, I'm not sure what the heck you're doing, but this stock has just been on fire. NET, go back and watch the videos. We've been talking about the stock pretty much every single day for the last couple of weeks. Probably a little bit overbought at this point, but again, let's put this in context. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What did I just count as 10? 10 days in a row where the smart money held higher lows. That's a big deal. So when sellers tried to come in, new bids came in. Sellers tried to come in, new bids came in. Higher low, higher low, higher low. That's the first stage of understanding how to read the tape. Trading could be as simple or as complicated as you want it. That is a huge part of keeping it simple. Think to yourself, if somebody with deep pockets wants a stock, what are they not going to let it do? They're going to hold the bid. That means that their bids are still under the market. So selling is coming in and holding that bid. Now, I'm actually going to give you a really advanced lesson here, which is kind of cool. So if we go back into STNE, and if you don't know my background, I had 2 trading firms in New York City. The second one, Keystone Trading, we had 25 former specialists come into our trading floor in 2007, and they taught us about order flow. We traded NASDAQ. They taught us about trading listed stocks. This is a big deal. When a stock is going down, it's going down, it's going down. So let's use somebody as an example. Let's say John A and John B. They have 2 different hedge funds, right? Stock is going down, but whatever, they do their analysis, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, this stock is starting to get to an interesting price. If guidance comes out a certain way, blah, 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 we think the stock should be moving higher. We think it's undervalued at this point. So as it's starting to go down, sellers like us are looking at the stock, bearish order flow, bearish order flow. John A and John B are sitting there right now saying, okay, I'm just going to keep buying stock as it goes down because I'm working my position because I can just sit there and buy stock as it's going down. But there's going to come a point where I'm short selling, you're short selling, other people are dumping the stock, it stops going down. Now, John A and John B can't just sit on the bid anymore and passively buy stock. They're like, wow, I promised my clients I was going to get 1 million shares of this stock, but it stopped going down. Well, what does John A and John B have to do? They have to do this. They have to now step up and start paying higher prices because they right now feel that stock is going to be more valuable. They have deep pockets, deep research. At some point, they are forced to pay higher prices because of what their research is telling them about the future value of that stock to its shareholders. So it's going down, they're passively buying, going down, passively buying, going down, and the selling slows down. They're like, uh-oh, I got 500,000 shares more to buy. I got to start paying up. So that's what we saw in NET. With NET, no matter what the selling was in that environment over that 2-week period, they were holding the bid and paying higher prices, holding the bid and paying higher prices. These are sort of the starting points of order flow. Start at the starting points of order flow. So something kind of cool to keep an eye on. So keeping with the sector approach, and we're looking at tech stocks, DQ is the start of a new move. And you zoom out a little bit here, you can see that this was a big level, punched out, pulled back. So we're looking for DQ to hold the 64 level. All right. Coin bouncing with the rest of the sector on last week, really. But now it's pushed into this 280 level. I need to see it get above 280, and it's pausing right there. If it does, I'm going to be looking at that one today. Another area that we've been looking at has been the solar stocks, and you can see that run actually punched up, paused, and now has paused for 2 days. So let's get back to the question here. If you're looking to trade run, JKS, SPWR, ENPH, any one of those solar stocks, but let's stick with run right now. If you're looking at this price action right now, and you're starting to say, wow, this is really interesting. That was a big volume spike. I really like this as a potential new idea. What kind of share size would you be trading in this right now? How would you be scripting out your success in this stock right now for run? Lower initial position size. We're talking about 2 days of buying versus almost 4 months of selling. So think about that right now. The smart money is just starting to step up. You want to see what kind of a commitment they have by getting in there with an initial piece. Okay. Let's see. Kevin's asking about LYV. We actually started to talk. We actually mentioned last week we're long LYV in one of our swing trades in the community. So we've actually been long here going back to early last week. Let me see. I can actually show you that a little bit after the trade. I'll show you right here. Zoom it out. This is the position that we have from last week on LYV, if you want to take a quick screenshot of that. Another one that actually has woken up in the tech area, which is CRWD. This has been a pretty popular stock in the boot camp for the last year or so, and you can see why. When it catches a bid, it moves pretty violently in a good way. Went a little bit choppy over the last, let's say, 4 or 5 months, but again, woke up last week looking for follow through, looking for it to hold that bid, and paused on Friday with a lot of the rest of the market. A couple of other ones just to give you some ideas. FSLY broke. Look, you can see how we're working the trend here. Broke the downtrend. Now 2 weeks of well bid, which is kind of interesting, right? Bullish U-turn into a well bid candlestick. So again, the start of a potential move. TTD, which has not been really that great of a stock since the stock split. I think it was 600 or whatnot. First signs of potential new order flow. And Asana, actually, which has been a pretty good stock for us this year. Still kind of stuck here. I don't like how deep it pulled back. So I'm actually looking for this to break into new all-time highs before I start to trade it. But I wanted to give you another idea. Working our way across the list, we are now going to start to hang out in the financial area. All right. Financial stocks that we've been talking about have been pretty good. I mean, they're starting to wake up a little bit. A lot of people have in our community been trading UPST, which has pretty good order flow. We actually built a really good case in our last coaching call last week. If you remember, we discussed this move and then this pullback, which was 100% of that same breakout. However, we started to do a forecast of where we were looking. We actually had a target around 395. So this stock actually hit our target last week. So now we're looking for it to pause a little bit. We're going to work our way now through financial stocks and some ideas you could be looking at this week, which they have. They're over here all the way down at number 8, but a lot of these stocks that had earnings last week have now started to make them interesting to us. So Lending Club is one that's been pretty strong. And you can see now you should be able to spot it right away, right? Higher lows, somebody's holding that bid, right? Mara, which is a Bitcoin mining stock, it's considered a financial stock. BX, which was one of the stronger stocks on Wall Street for a while here. And you can see the longer term. Look at that order flow. That's just amazing. Starting to work its way back up, opening up a little bit higher, or set to open a little bit higher. JP Morgan earnings, and you can see here bullish U-turn into bullish gap. Looks like it's going to open flat. Goldman Sachs, which just absolutely blew earnings out the door last week. And Citigroup and Morgan Stanley. I would say Citigroup and Morgan Stanley are kind of lagging just a little bit. The primary focus I'm going to have this week in this area is going to be JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Working our way over into some of the energy stocks, which kind of like the forgotten child here, but still pretty strong in the middle. What they've actually done now is a pause. So which stocks in the energy sector am I going to be taking a look at? Well, OKE is a stock pick that I'm going to be paying attention to this week. And again, you should start to be able to see this in a heartbeat now, right? A push and a pause, a push and a pause. We haven't paused here in about a week and a half, so probably going to have to pause here, but this is going to be another good one that's going to be at the top of my list. Chevron is actually pretty interesting, but this is really more of a tracking journal trade. So if we work over here and you start to see where sellers have been coming into the stock, we are actually at that level where it got above this level, got shoved down, got above, shoved down, got above, shoved down. And we're kind of right there again. So right now, Chevron for me is a tracking journal alert for 110. And we're just above that level right now. So we need to see if we're going to hold that on the weekly chart this week. Hess, a very similar picture. So a lot of these energy stocks got up to levels where sellers came in last time and started to shove the stock down, but they need to be on your radar. DVN is another one. EOG is another one. So those are the top stocks that happen to be on the radar this week. So we have a lot going on as far as rotation heading into the week. Financial stocks certainly perked up last week. Energy stocks have paused a little bit. Technology stocks kind of caught a bid, which is pretty exciting. And last but not least, we have the basic material stocks, which have floated all the way to the top. Alcoa, after earnings, just exploded. Bullish gap followed through. We also talked about NUE. I believe STLD has earnings today, if I'm not mistaken. STT and STLD have earnings today. So keep an eye on those. So we might get another rocket boost on the basic material stock. So there's a lot to do. Yep, Justin, absolutely. CPE is in that list as well. Okay. So we got a lot to talk about this week and going forward. We'll see if that China news affects the market for the week. I personally think that once we went well bid, after we went bullish U-turn on the SPY specifically, and here's the big thing, the really big thing I'm going to be focusing on this week. And again, scripting it out on Monday morning. If this happens, then I'm going to do this. If this happens, then I'm going to do this. I'm going to challenge you to do that. Is if the financial stocks remain strong, if those technology stocks remain strong, even if the energy stocks don't catch a bid, that should lift the market in a way that it won't matter what the headlines say. We should be able to find some good ideas. Remember, though, if that does not happen, then we need to be on top of that rotation to see stocks that have increased changes in the tape. Then we can find some individual ideas, even if the market isn't as obvious as it was last week. So that's two scenarios. If the market's obvious, if financials and basic materials and technology all remain the bid, we're going to focus there. If they're not, we drill a little bit deeper into our game planning, and then we find some individual ideas. That's what it takes to script out your success. It's Monday morning, 8 o'clock. We're already scripting out what we expect to have happen the entire week. That's professional trading. And I hope I'm inspiring you to get to that point where you are never a victim again. You know exactly what you plan to do before the market even opens, before the week even opens. If this happens, then I'm doing this. I just gave you the whole rundown of what I'm looking to do this week. Now it's a question of how the market unfolds and which stocks I'm going to be picking to buy based on how the market unfolds. I want to challenge you. I really want to challenge you to start doing that, because you will be amazed at how good you actually are if you have the guts to get in there and start scripting out what you expect to have happen. And remember, this is what's really important, okay? This is what's critically important. In your mind, you're going to be like, well, I scripted out 5 stocks today and only one did what I thought it was going to do. And you're going to be misrepresenting that in your mind. And you're going to say, those 4 stocks didn't do what I thought. Stop. Focus on the one that's doing exactly what you thought it was going to do, and go and print money because you scripted that out and trade with confidence. Who cares what those other 4 are doing? As you gain more experience, remember, you might want to watch this one again, because I just told you exactly what I'm looking for this week and how I plan to trade it. You need to do that. So you expand your universe. You start to get a little more. Now you have 10 stocks in your game plan and 3 do exactly what you expected. 3. Imagine if you have the guts every day. You have 10 stocks, you scripted out 3 every single day, do exactly what you thought. You're going to be in a pretty good spot. I'm going to leave you with that today. I'm going to challenge you right now, between now and the next 90 minutes. Go script out what you expect to have happen today. Come back tomorrow on our new call tomorrow morning and tell me how you did. I think you're going to be surprised with how much you know. Have an awesome day, everybody. I have to head over to our own meeting. Thank you so much.